I played the Claws of Awaji DLC for Assassin's Creed Shadows early, and it's shaping up to be something special, up there with the best content the game has to offer, including interesting boss fights that the main game was lacking. I could also try the new weapon type, interview developers, so a lot to go over. My studio trip to Ubisoft Bordeaux started with a play session of the first 2 hours of the DLC. I will not be spoiling anything story related, of course, but I do want to highlight something really awesome. The expansion's opening namely does something very interesting with the dual protagonist system. For the first time, Naue and Yasuke are working together while you are playing, instead of seeing them together in a cutscene and then one character going away after you pick who to play as. So I'm happy that the Mirage developer who is in charge of this expansion is finding cool new ways to make Naue and Yasuke feel like a team during gameplay, something where Quebec kind of dropped the ball. Again, no story spoilers, but it's good to remind you that the Claws of Awaji picks up where the Shadows main story ended, so it should be a meaningful addition with, yes, also more Templars into the mix. From what I've seen so far, the different targets that control Awaji and that we have to take out have more personality compared to the Shinbaku-fu, something that we also see during the boss fights. It's cooler if you experience it for yourself though, so I will keep it at this small teaser. And the DLC taking place after the ending should also mean more challenging content, and while I'm not fully convinced yet, a big change I did already notice is that exploring this brand new island will not be as easy as mainland Japan. Very often you'll be ambushed by shinobi or get hit by tripwires set up by new enemy types who don't want you to be there. There are random merchants in town that will attack you out of nowhere, like the world is way more hostile. Another new enemy type is the bow staff wielding soldier. This is of course a brand new weapon type that Naue can wield as well, but turns out that this is not a DLC exclusive after all. On September 16th, when the DLC releases, there will namely be a free quest available for everyone who finished the main story of the game, and this gives you a rare variant of the bow staff as a reward, so even if you don't own the expansion, you can use this completely new moveset for Naue, which is huge. You then also get access to the full mastery tree, so can unlock all the new abilities, and the bow staff can then also drop from other sources and can probably be bought from a gear vendor. But if you want a legendary bow staff, then you'll have to either play the DLC or wait for future Helix packs that should also include them, with of course a chance that these might later show up at the exchange in the Animus hub. Yasuke is not getting a new weapon type, but instead has one new active ability for all his existing weapons, and these are also available for everyone. We'll go over those in a second, but first let's talk about the amazing new bow staff and exploration on the island. Of course, leave a like, that would really support the channel, and subscribe for everything on Claws of Awaji. Very early on in the DLC, Naue will get her first legendary bow staff that applies both poison and bleed on hit, which is kinda wild. You are then asked to do a small tutorial, which actually kind of useful because this weapon has some added depth. There are namely 3 posture stances. Hold the light or heavy attack button for the neutral posture, similar to other weapons, and you can use this to push enemies away, and creativity will be rewarded. But it gets more interesting because from the neutral posture you can press the left button or L1 to go into a high posture. If you then strike when the enemy attacks, you will instead counter that move and can even make them vulnerable after unlocking certain skills. But if you do the left trigger or L2, you go into a low posture, and with this you can drop most enemies on the floor, after which you can follow up with a powerful ground strike. And this more fleshed out posture system is of course next to the regular light and heavy attack combos and the 3 active abilities. With Flurry of Blows, you do this sort of old school Origins and Odyssey style overpower attack where you basically lock an enemy in a pretty cool animation and can also heal yourself if you time your button presses right. Wind Step is super overpowered as you trigger this black and white mode where you have increased speed and reach for a really long time. And there's also an ability that lets you throw one enemy against another, and the animation can be different depending on the target. And that is something you will overall notice. The bow staff has way more finishers compared to the other Shadows weapons. So hopefully this means that Ubisoft is planning more finishers for those base game weapon types as well. And maybe you already noticed it in the intro, but the bow staff also gives Naue access to the chain assassination. So when enemies are standing close to each other and they don't notice you, you can take them out with some really awesome moves that are different depending on how far the target is. And there's one new legendary headpiece that lets you chain to an extra target as well. But yeah, I think I will totally be playing Naue the most in this DLC. If you want to see more raw gameplay of the bow staff, a link to a video in the video description. So to get more legendary bow staffs, you will have to finish the DLC story or clear castles on Awaji. There should be 6 legendary variants in total, according to the DLC's content director I spoke to. Like, some familiar activities are back in the expansion, but they seem to be completely the same without any new interesting twist. The trills are different though, as they do not seem to give you a knowledge point, but instead have a special Sumi-E painting at the end where we don't paint an animal, but a landmark that we can then showcase in our hideout. Also interesting is that Ubisoft Bordeaux has made a route for Yasuke for these new trails, so both characters can complete them with unique challenges for both. Now, don't expect anything crazy, it's in particular the environments that you get to see during these trails that look kinda great. Of course, we can also expect brand new legendary armor sets. There will be 2 for both characters. We'll go more in depth on these in the future, but at least one perk for Yasuke is pretty interesting that I found, where instead of dying he gets a second chance, and then if you kill someone before your health goes to 0 again, you survive, kinda like Borderlands. Yasuke should also have one new legendary weapon per weapon type, and expect perks on those that enhance his new abilities. And these new abilities are really awesome. For the katana we have Wind Slash, where you charge a powerful attack, and then the longer you charge, the wider it is. And a fun twist is that you can push enemies away when they get close to interrupting your attack. Now, don't use it close to explosive barrels though. The bow basically added some warrior bow capabilities. You push targets away first and then can hit multiple of them, but it wasn't that great in my testing. While the new hurricane stance for the Naginata is insanely OP, as you can extend it up to 5 times by killing enemies, and yes, they die pretty fast with the right build. Really strong. The only downside is that you can get interrupted when activating the move, so keep that in mind. With the Cannonbow you can throw the weapon similar to what some of the enemies in the base game already did. It's mostly just fun to do it, but also not really strong in my experience. And the new Teppo ability is quite awesome too, as you light a firework in the weapon, so then push enemies away that are close to you, and you can also leave the firework on the ground, after which it will explode. If you pre-ordered Shadows, then the Claws of Awaji DLC will be free, otherwise it will be $25 or euros, the same price as the Year 1 DLCs for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm also still doing a giveaway. You can enter if you are a subscriber via the link in the pinned comment. You see the roadmap right here. Basically the DLC will go live very early on September 16th, alongside that free quest for the bow staff, and probably the abilities for Yasuke that again will be free as well. But before that, on September 11th, we get a really big new update, including the ability to change the time of day, a lot of new hideout building upgrades, and yes, the Ezio outfit for Naue as part of a new project. Really awesome. I went over the patch notes on JorRaptor. You can watch that video by clicking on the screen, but we'll of course also do a main video going over everything you need to know regarding the update that will be going live after the update hits. So subscribe to not miss anything, leave a like, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.